Hey everyone. Well, so my name is Sechi today. um, I have been around in the crypto space for almost like 10 years, I would say. I have been working on financial machine learning and blockchain high frequency trading, which is MEP or something like that, you can call it. I get it. So I think like all of us, I got into this aviation loophole a few months ago probably, and I was like, okay, there are a lot of potential implications that I think that can be like really interesting, not only for business, but also for how we're going to organize in the future and how social structures will be playing out.
You've been like you were saying, you've been working with machine learning and funds for a while and stuff like that, and like you started getting really into the trenches, right? So like, how did that happen? Like, what's your, you know? Okay, we have the slides. So like, feel free to answer or just go with the
Okay, yeah,
presentation as
I
you
have
wish.
been obsessed with AI for like a long, long time, and especially how AI and crypto are going to mix each other. I think that crypto is like the perfect railway for any kind of AI interaction, especially in the future. But well, now that we have this, um, okay, so puppets or puppeteers. We are in a point where everything that we are using, all these tools, are with the backbone of AI. And somehow we're always relaying that they are working for us. But there is actually no clear way to see this. Borges has this great, great phrase that I don't know if you know Borges, but if you don't, you have to, if you're going to be in Argentina, you have to know him. That is, God moves the player, and the player moves the piece. Which God behind God moves the play. So who is behind this? Who is actually like pulling off the strings of what we are doing? Is there a way that we can actually like think how we can manage this? And this is actually not something new because like the first A hoax, the first A problem that we have was like probably like 300 years ago. An engineer, as usually building stupid stuff, convinced everyone that he has made an automated chess player, the Turk, the Turk player. This hoax was like around for like 100 years until the fire came up and they discovered that, oh, there wasn't a really automatic thing moving the strings. It was a chess player that was inside the machine and that was actually like moving everything. And they say, okay, like we were fucked, but it was like 100 years of the hoax going. So that's a really nice anecdote. Right now, we are seeing that community AI agents are already here. We are seeing that we have things like Cerebro, what's going on? We have things like Cerebro, we have things like Truth Terminal, and we even have things like more advanced, like AXBT. These things are actually managing communities and informing them what they have to do, how they have to think. They're all the time like behind what people is thinking. But how we can actually know that what they are communicating is based on our interest, or how we can believe that Truth Terminal is actually like buying a token because it decided and not because it has been like influenced by the developer for that. All these community agents, what we have been seeing right there, and that they are probably the most common right now, face two problems. Number one, that we don't have a way to manipulate, to understand it, they are being interference, sorry. Um, so how we can be sure that they are running the code that they are being supposed to be running, like how we can attestate that. That's where crypto gets along. And the other part is how we can prove that they are not being manipulated by the developer. One thing that is actually like quite interesting, that is something that only the humans have, is that we are the only species that cannot like forget something like at all. Like if the developer has seen the keys of this, it can it cannot prove that it doesn't know how to enter the system. So that's quite interesting at this point. So well, how we can solve this? there is technology that is already around. This is not something new, but probably something that we haven't been using under this paradigm. TEs. The TEs, you can think about them like castles on chips. Yeah? Okay. Where I should put with this? There, right? Okay. They're like castles on chips. What we are doing here is like we are creating chips that are specifically designed to have more security. You cannot like input and output everything, and you have to do a lot of different like presentations to allow the code to run. That's something really interesting in the new times that are coming. These are a cryptographic way, but that is not based on software. Like a lot of you, if you're in crypto, might know, like zero knowledge proof, full market encryptions. All those solutions are at the software level. And this is like really important. Like we're going to need in the future that cryptography is not going to have to be enforced only on software, but also in hardware. Until recently, I would say like 2 years ago, these kind of infrastructures were only used for small enclaves. So they were not able to save like a whole city. They were just for special applications within the programs. Right now, with what we are seeing, the new developments that have been around since probably a year and a half, they allow us to create like virtual machines with all this kind of operation. So with this, like we can start like putting into these kind of chips more complex programs and of course AI agents. Also, like this is something that is growing. Like is expected to grow at least by three on the next 4 to 5 years. So it's quite interesting. Now, this solution is not perfect. There is a lot of way to break Intel XGX. You can find on internet like every cryptographer, when they go to college, one of their the games will be like to break um, one of these chips. But of course, with new kind of applications, you can like save that. Um, there is also one of the main problems that we are going to see with this is that you have to trust in the developer. So, for example, with Intel, you have to trust Intel that Intel is not going to stole your keys once it give it to you. But we are seeing a lot of different like movements trying to make this happen, trying to make TEs free. Also, the coding experience sucks. If you try to go into Intel XGX, it's not going to be pleasant, it's not going to be pretty, and it's not for any kind of full stack developer. This is not something that you are going to play around if you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Okay, you understand. um, now, we have a lot of potential benefit with this, and I will consider that the most important thing is that we can have remote data stations. That means that once we're running something inside of this, we can ask whether if it's fulfilling the code that this has been set up to do, and if all the data and that is being input and output is actually like faithful to what it has to be doing. Now, one of the things that I find like more interesting about this is that the fact that you only need firms because you are working on the hardware level. You don't need to make like really complex operations. So your computational overhead, once this is working, is only about 10 to 20%, which is not much. Like in comparison to other tools that are around, like this is like actually like computational economic. So this is one of the things that is most interesting right now. Now, what is one of the main applications for AI, and one that is already being like tested by a lot of different teams? Confidential AI inference. This kind of technology allow us not to trust in how the data. If we are like breaking the data privacy or something, like we can like go into the hardware for that. That's really important for a lot of companies like Signal, Apple, a lot. You like you name it. Uh, Right now, Signal, which for me is like the most advanced platform messaging platform that there's around, is using TEs plus Oblivious's RAM in order to secure their all the message that they have, and they have a lot. Apple is also working on this on their new chips. It's something that they were using and that they are compromised to use more and more. And NVIDIA also is investing more and more. Now, there are two teams on the crypto space, which is I bet that a lot of us are interested, that are actually like working on this. Of course, Elisa, that I bet that a lot of you, if you are here, have already tried, and Fala Network. Fala Network is a company by ex-Google China that they are working on TEs, on create a decentralized infrastructure for TEs. They have been actually like doing presenting tests on how to run whole LLMs inside TEs. This is already done. They have done it last year, around November, and you can find the paper around. This is a little bit of how they are working with private inference. They have also released this stack, which is a new repo that allows to work with these kind of technologies really easy in comparison to what we have been like seeing on the past. And that I think that if someone here is a developer, you have to check it out. If you want to work with this, this is something that is going to allow you to deploy your programs on a confidential virtual machine really easily. This is already integrated. If you go to advanced on on Elisa, you can find that you can actually like work on this. And even if you go to Fala Network, you can like find that you can deploy it with just a few clicks. It's not that much. Okay, so side note, why TEs and crypto are so related and why a lot of people on crypto is working behind TEs for a while. Uh, we have the block builder market dilemma on Ethereum. I don't know if you know it, but probably Ethereum is kind of centralized, and it sucks because right now there is one builder, which is Beaver, which holds like probably 80 to 60% of all the blocks that are being constructed. That's a problem. Of course, that's not decentralized, and that's why teams like Flashbots are working on how to implement this in order to secure that. I always love that meme. Okay, we have another part, but if there is some question regarding TEs, like there you can find like the file at this stack. Think that is going to be useful for those that want to deploy or do something. Free. No, sigue, sigue. ¿Cómo estamos de tiempo? Okay. Well, so now we're going to discuss about like what I consider to be the two most important experiments that have been around, and they have been developed by teams that, if you haven't heard about them, you should. Like, News Research is one of the biggest AI labs, of course, with the big like decentralized aura and all that. And they are the ones behind Hermes 3. I don't know if you have tried it. If you haven't, you should. Like, it's probably one of the most open source LLMs that you're going to find. You can like, yeah. It's not like ChatGPT. It's not like it's not like Grok. You can actually like try to run this and see how it has been trained, the data and everything. They have team up with Flashbot for this. That if you don't know who they are the ones that created the map boost application and probably the map market, which is one of the biggest pain points for Ethereum right now, and where a lot of the, I would consider, most intelligent people is actually trying to influence. Now, why we need TEs and why we need like to start thinking about this? If we're talking about the future where we're going to see autonomous agents running around with our life, we need to be sure that those agents are actually not working for somebody else. That's quite important if we want to like give these kind of things like more capabilities and more power in our life, we cannot like have the luxury to not know if they are working for someone else. Like we cannot like actually trust in this kind of things if they are not like having like these two things. They have to like, as we say, have a proof of non-interference and being able to detect manipulation. That's the key for everything. The first experiment that they done like probably 6 months ago, this was a TEE, setting your pet rock free. For those that haven't actually heard about it, probably the thing that they did was like they took something like Truth Terminal and run it on a TE and just release it. They release it with all the credentials and all inside. They have the attestation going on, like you can like check it every time, so you can know with this like, okay, this is a truth terminal that is presenting me that is not being actually manipulated. They used that infrastructure to make one of the coolest art experiments that I have seen. That is, they have starting to automatize two of the biggest accounts on X that are Satan and God. These are like accounts that have been around probably since Twitter has started. And what they have done, they convince these teams to actually like automatize this with the TE infrastructure. And as you're going to see, like they have quite quite good fine tuning, I would say. Like I think that we're living in a South Park episode right by now. Like it's kind of obvious. And the interactions that they are having between each of them, like they're good. Like when you see this, you understand that this is not just a chatbot. Like okay, like this being plugged into something. No, no. This is like a fine-tuned model with kind of with this is art. This is good. This is good deploy. Um, Also, they have a token. The token is like void, so it doesn't have anything. Like if you try to look for the token, you're not going to like find it like easily. Like it's like I think it's a really smart move. Like they just press like tab and that's it. Like nothing. So God and Satan share the same token that is the void. That's that's fucking excellent. Now, this is something more complex, and it's the second experiment that I think that we have to really understand because the implication that this has, like I think that they are like really strong. What we can do with this only and only on this stage, I think that it has a lot of value. The other project that I'm gonna let the QR code at the end so you can find it is Teleport. Teleport allows everyone with a Twitter account to create a one-time link to allow someone else to enter into your account and post something. Okay, and how we do this? Because it's really interesting. Like, okay, they mint an NFT and they make you like put your credentials into a TE. And this TE is managed by two agents. That way it's like you can like give someone access to your account, to your Twitter account, Instagram account, whatever account you want on Web2 without compromising your security. And you can actually like monetize that. And why is this is like really interesting? Like right now, our digital identity has a value. All our digital property, digital everything that we are going online is starting to have a real impact in a real world. And there is no easy way to monetize this or to create something around this. With kind of these implementations, we can use NFTs and agents to create something interesting. So, how does it work? Okay, you put the TE, you set up all the accounts that you can see, that you can think that you need, and then you make the agent forget or create a new account, and you don't have access now. Only the TE works. And how was the game that they proposed? And you're going to see a little bit of the immersions uh, behavior that it has. Pretty much, the player, which is the owner of the account, defined the rules, and it let the LLM understand that rules. Like, it's like, okay, I want to sell this, but only if these conditions are met. An LLM read it and create this kind of pact. Now you have two different set of TEs. You have Satan that is working as an AI agent, independent on its own TE, and you have another instance that is running, which is two small LLMs that works as the data minion and the action minion, which are constantly like looking if the deal keeps going on and if it has to enforce something. So this instance is the user instance with with the credentials that it needs and the agent that it needs to prove. And in the other half, you have the agent that is going to act as the judge. A few of the things that have been around with this experiment. In order to sell a deal, you only have like to post on Twitter, okay, I want to make a deal. Satan asks you and put you like where to make the deal. And then like if you break that deal somehow, like it's going to enforce something. Of course, there were a lot of different like examples. Uh, and I think that the most interesting ones are the ones that start giving the LLM like the capacity of interpret what it has to apply. Like this one, like I'm doing a Russian roulette, and I don't know, like what's gonna happen. I probably like if I tweet something and you decide to kill me, okay, like just kill me. Just you can change my credential. This one is really good because the guy say, okay, I'm going to close this deal, and if I ever tweet on this way, you can like enforce this. And what happened? The LLM say, okay, I'm going to enforce it right away once the deal was closed. And why? Because like on 2018, you post something like this. You weren't remembering that, but I'm reading all your tweets. So that kind of behavior that we cannot like even like explain, I think that is one of the coolest things that we're going to see. And it also opened the way to start to think about, okay, what can we do when we mix smart contracts with LLMs and we have execution plus interpretation? What happens when we can create and make, you know, like reality is way more complex than the deterministic rule. We cannot like only use smart contracts that are going to be like, okay, like this happened, this happened. You need interpretation. What happens when we add this capacity of interpretation? What happens is that we can start like doing things that are valuable on chain, and not only what we are doing like so far that is kind of silly. This has a lot of potential application for legal systems and other things. This is not only DeFi. This is like, okay, like we can actually like create a justice system around this. I think that if code is law, as we like to say on crypto, Aisha has to be a judge. Like, if we're going to behave like the code is asking us to be, like we need some kind of jury that is like a third party that we all can trust, and if it's automated, even better. There are a few other implications on putting TEs inside of these kind of things. Like, for example, if you take like the traditional smart contracts platform, you use TEs, you can create programmable privacy. That's what Fala and Secret Network is already doing. If you put the traditional DeFi AMMs inside of this, you can have dark pools, which I think also like is where the market is going to be moving right now. And also, what happened when we put like all systems, Instagram, Gmail, or out everything, like we can like actually have like some kind of decentralization on the old stack, which is also useful. And this is especially what I think that is the most interesting part. What happens when we start mixing these kind of agents, let them run inside of this, and we put them with Web 2 credentials and smart contracts? Now we can create something new. We can create something that is actually like can be valuable, can be moving value on chain, but it can also have the social way of communicating that we have on Web 2. So that's actually like where I think we're going to see things happening. Now, of course, what could possibly go wrong if we let these Asians and they become more smart and we don't have the keys? Yeah, that's something that we actually need to think. But I think that is something that is unavoidable. Like, I don't think that we have like any choice at this point because Asians are going to be around us and we need them to be autonomous. We need them to know that we cannot like control them. So I think that this calls for a broader implication. Like, we need to understand how to govern these systems on ways that are actually like efficient. Like, we cannot like rely on how we have been working until now, and we have to start like thinking about this. Having autonomy doesn't mean that the system have self-determination. I have soberanía sería, or I don't know, autodeterminación en español, which is nicer. These systems can be really smart, but they need to be governed in order to have an objective. We need to create these new ways of organize. Of course, crypto is always like trying to break or disappoint us in new ways, so I bet that someone is going to come up with this like later or sooner. Uh, but we need to start thinking how we are going to move. Okay, you can find there a link to Teleport, the GitHub, and the repo, and that's all.
Tenemos tiempo para preguntas. Time for questions. Si quieren pueden preguntar en castellano or in English, whatever you want. Si alguien tiene alguna pregunta me dice y le llevo el micrófono.
So what do you think will be the eventual result of a probabilistic smart contract? Do you think that there will be probabilistic smart contracts? How will probability of AI merge with smart contracts, if at all?
I don't know if the current blockchains are prepared for this kind of mix, but I think that we're going to start seeing like this kind of applications. Like, I think that Satan, what they are doing with Teleport is only the beginning. We're going to see more of this, and yeah, you're going to have like a deterministic part, you know, like the ones that is going to be enforced, but I think that we're going to see like more interpretation on what can be done.
What do you think will be an output? What could a probabilistic smart contract do for us?
What?
What could a probabilistic smart contract do for us? Like, what could it create in terms of the value?
Well, I think that we can create like new ways of commerce on the digital life. Like, for example, okay, I want to enforce this kind of. I want to sell my digital rights. For example, I want to sell my platform, my communication platform to, I don't know, for marketing purpose. And like, that's the easy like way of seeing it. But I have a lot of things that I want to enforce. Like, for example, okay, like, I don't want nothing to be tweeted about politics. I don't want anything about this and blah, blah, blah. And you can have like this smart contract negotiation with the other one. Also, I think that the composability that you can get once you get like these social rights on NFTs is going to be like interesting. Like, if a lot of people is using things like that, for example, I don't know, you're a company and you want to create a lot of posts at the same time. So you do like a flash loan, but for NFTs to post on Twitter, and you have a lot of tweeting at the same time from different accounts. I know. I think that this is a door that should be opened, and you know, like, it's going to evolve. What I'm not sure so far is that the current smart contracts are going to work well with LLMs, with AI. I think that they might need to be a little bit more flexible, something like that.
¿Más preguntas? ¿Alguien? ¿No hay preguntas? Bueno, muchas gracias. Sí, qué bárbaro.